everybody. This is the get everything next up here for the screen capture of there we go. Looks like a good sound on it. Here we go.
So we're just going to do a quick prompt check out in here's okay from here. We can a couple of hands up there. Okay, so we've unmuted some of you. If you would, you'll need to make sure you're unmuted when you're in. Yeah, we could probably just do it more. So can anyone out there in the team hear me? From yeah, Casey. Okay, good. Broadcast. Phil, can you try to hit star six and see if that okay, I saw that you're unmuted. Can you hear us? Yeah. Okay, great. So we've got a couple of folks in there in the audience. One valid. All right, we're going to get started. All right. You guys ready to go live? All right, we'll get started. Good morning. My name is Mike Brown. I'm the Matsu Borough manager. Today with me are Mayor DeVries, the MSP mayor, Jennifer Castro from Matanuska Electric Association, or MEA, as I'll refer to them throughout. We have Aviva Braun, who's a meteorologist for the National Weather Service. We're hoping that she can join us online. She's present here in the chamber today. Then we also have our emergency service director, Tim Mark, with us this morning, and the superintendent, Dr. Randy Frank. So we're going to go through an agenda, give you an update on the status of things related to highways here in the Matsu Borough, and then take questions to our best. So just to provide some updates on the current situation, current responses and available services to our residents, I'll start by saying today the borough signed a disaster declaration for state damaging winds throughout the borough and requesting that the governor declare a disaster emergency and make state financial disaster assistance available to the Matsu Today, borough offices and facilities, as well as schools across the Matsu are closed, and we'll update you on what that could look like here in the coming days and weeks. The borough has advised residents to shelter in place for the duration of the storm. We have received multiple reports of damage to roads and facilities, damage to homes and businesses, debris, roofs, broken windows, frozen pipes, damage. We are experiencing prolonged and sustained loss of basic utilities, large populations across the borough, and MEA will consider their ongoing efforts to restore power here in this moment. The borough opened up 2 shelters early this morning in Wasilla at the Menard Sports Complex, and in Palmer at the Matsu Service Center. Both shelters are being staffed by the American Red Cross and are available to provide temporary shelter for residents. At this time, we have not received any reports for significant injuries due to the storm, and all emergency crews are fully operational. And then lastly, the borough did experience an outage on IT systems related to power yesterday. Those services have largely been restored. Invite Dr. Trainey to the podium to give a short update on schools.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm Randy Trainey, the superintendent of the Matsu Borough School District. I want to give a quick update about the district's operations. All of our facilities are in good shape with regard to the major systems, electricity, water, heat. We have had some minor damage. With that said, our challenge with trying to open school is just getting students safely to the schools. And so for that reason, we're announcing today that we will be closed tomorrow. And we're going to make an announcement by noon tomorrow regarding if the closure extends. The main reason for that is our parking lots, they just are not safe for students. And then we can't have kids waiting at bus stops. Not to mention we have so many families and staff who are dealing with broken pipes, no electricity. That's our update. I'll be happy to take questions afterwards.
Thank you, Dr. Trainey. I'm going to see if Aviva Braun from the National Weather Service is available to join us. I'm hoping you're online and are able to hear us. Okay, so I don't think Aviva's with us. I don't know, Ken, if you have any updates on weather that we can share. Basically, what we've heard, and we had hoped that they would be able to go into detail from the National Weather Service. That we are expecting to see this wind subside, but we would expect to see some high winds over the next couple of days. So that's something we're going to continue to monitor in way of, continue impact services, just folks' ability to get out and about. So with that said, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Jennifer Castro and really talk about, I think, what folks are more concerned about is some of the power outages. Aviva, I'm going to give you one last shot here. Can you hit star 6 to make sure you're unmuted? Perfect. We can hear you great, Aviva. I'm going to turn the mic to you if you can give us an update on weather and what we're expecting for the next couple days. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
and make sure that things has nothing there. I'd like to take a minute to take events. This kind of when meteorological community, and this is when polar air mass, polar Arctic air mass, where extremely cool temperatures set in over the Yukon and force their way through valleys, rolling downhill and out to the Gulf, where the temperatures are much warmer. This effect is compounded by the difference in pressure between the very cold temperatures of going events. These records being set are still running, but as of 10 a.m. today, Matsu Valley had experienced 48 straight hours of strong winds, making this the fourth longest Borough wind event in Palmer-Wasilla area, and this is comparable to the third longest event set in February of 1979, 51 miles per hour, 51 hours of strong winds, and with a gust of 5 miles per hour set in the Palmer Airport during that event. I'd like to close by saying that the National Weather Service continues to watch this event as it unfolds and continues to keep an eye on the winds and temperatures and its impacts being experienced, and we acknowledge how detrimental this event has been and continues to be for the communities that we serve. We stand by to help as best we can, and of course I will take questions at the end of this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Aviva. That's very helpful. And introduce Jennifer Matsu.
Thank you. So I think maybe we'll start at the very beginning. So on Friday evening, we were notified from the National Weather Service of wind advisory taking place starting beginning on Saturday. And so all of our crew staff on alert that this event is coming, so that we can be prepared to respond to whatever circumstances may arise. On Saturday morning, I would say about 6:45 a.m. is when we started to see winds up north and start causing larger outages up north, which we dispatched our crews to, and then it's just been nonstop ever since that time. Pretty much a good part of Saturday, we were hovering around 1,000 members out of power, and then yesterday on Sunday, that number became higher up to around the 8,000 number mark, going as high as 22,000 members without power at one point. Currently, right now, we're just under 1,000 members without power, and kind of describe the situation that we're facing is every time we get some folks back on, we're doing another outage elsewhere. So we haven't really been able to make a whole ton of headway see that number ultimately come down. We do have all of our available linemen crews working, and they're all working on a 16-8-hour rotation. We're working 16 hours straight with an 8-hour break. And then we also have the assistance of additional line crews. I want to recognize them and thank them for supplying us with additional resources to research and this afternoon we anticipate getting additional crews to Gatch Electric, and Golden Valley is also sending down additional lines to us. So we so greatly appreciate their assistance. So we hope to make a lot more headway this afternoon. We have additional support. I will say that definitely when we have daylight to our advantage, it helps us work a little quicker. And then with nightfall, it definitely makes things a little trickier as our crews have to look out for extra safety precautions, including debris that's flying through the air in and around them. For folks reporting outages, we have had reports of some folks struggling to get a hold of us on the phone lines. Every time we get caught up on messages, there's another major outage, and it ties up the lines again in the messages. And so just keep trying, or my preference or my best recommendation to our members to report their outage is directly online through their Smart Hub account. If you log into your Smart Hub account online and just click report an outage or an issue, that information instantly goes straight to our dispatchers and they get it within seconds. So that's a great way to let us know about your outage. We've also been receiving hundreds of messages on our Facebook page, and we are trying to be as responsive as we can to those, mostly with questions pertaining to when their individual power will be back on. And so keep messaging us and we'll try to be as responsive as we possibly can. Right now, our anticipation of having every single last person on is going to be by the end of this week. Our priorities as far as responding to outages is we are responding to the larger and largest ones first, and then trying to work our way down to the 100 or so person outages. And then we do have a significant amount of smaller groups of outages that we're also now trying to prioritize in terms of longest duration out. So for folks that have been out over 24 hours and they're in those smaller sets of outages, we greatly appreciate your patience, and we are going to try to get to you as soon as we can today, hopefully. But like we said, we anticipate to have every member restored likely by the end of this week. In some situations, we have complete meter bases that have to be fully repaired, and that's going to take some time. We have broken poles, which in normal weather circumstances take, around 7 hours to repair. But working in these wind and these conditions takes a lot more time to make those kinds of extensive repairs. So just a lot of different things that we're dealing with and facing with, but our goal is to get everyone back on, and we'll continue to work until we have everyone back on. We know how essential and important power is for people, and so we are doing our best that we can, and greatly appreciate the additional assistance and help that we're getting later on today. And I'll answer questions after everyone else.
Great. So we'll take the opportunity now to field questions from the press. So whether you're online, make sure you're unmuted with *6. You can indicate that you have a question, and then I know we have one outlet in the room. So we'll pause and take any questions at this time. Yeah, this is Philip Manning with KTNA. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think what's really valuable, Lauren, thanks for the question, is to make sure folks understand the ongoing nature of this. And with the temperature drop, I think this weekend it was pretty brutal with the winds, but it was a little bit warmer. So now that we're seeing that the potential for a temperature drop to happen that quickly with the wind chill and with just the continued winds over the next several days, we would definitely encourage folks not to stay too long in their homes if they're without power and it's getting to that point where they can't maintain an adequate temperature. And I think what we'll see is then potentially the population in those shelters may go up over time. Currently, I think there's only been a few people that have checked into either shelter, but knowing that we have those set up in those communities and available to the community, we would certainly want to continue to emphasize the importance of that as the temperatures drop so that folks don't stay in their homes too long. Are there any questions online? I think I heard somebody chime in. Yeah, this is Philip Manning with KTNA. Can you hear me? Yes, go ahead, Philip. So speaking specifically for the Northern Valley, I heard Jennifer Castro mention that some of the longer duration outages are being prioritized. There's a couple places up here, a lot of Trapper Creek and parts of Talkeetna that have now been out for more than 48 hours. Is there any plan for the borough to establish any sort of warm-up facility here for those folks who have been without power for a couple days at this point? Yeah, we can certainly look at doing that. A lot of it is we take those requests based on when we get them from the American Red Cross. And I think now that we're seeing, I think originally when we were watching the high wind warnings, it was initially set to expire, I think at 6 p.m. on Sunday. It was extended to 6 a.m. on Monday, then 6 p.m. on today. And then we're also hearing the update from the National Weather Service that, although the winds will diminish, we're still going to have high winds through the next couple of days, that we're going to continue to look at how we have adequate facilities across the borough. So I I am sure our emergency services staff will be looking at that and working with the American Red Cross to establish a facility should it be needed.
This is Lex chiming in with Alaska Public Media. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, if we could just pause 1 second, and I'll be right back with you. I think Jennifer Castro has an update to Philip's earlier question.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry.
Hi, Philip. This is Jennifer. I just wanted to give you an update specific to your listeners up there. We do have a crew that's on site up in Petersville right now. They're working on restoring the largest outage up there, which is about 360 or so members, and then also restoring some of those nearby smaller outages. So there is a crew up there right now working on it. We do have a lot of larger spruce trees that have torn down through the lines, so they're having to rehang wire and do some extensive repair work up there. So typically in a non-storm situation, that type of work can usually take around 10 to 12 hours to fix. And so working through that in these kinds of conditions is probably going to take a little bit longer. But we do have a crew up specifically in that northern spot area working on getting those folks back on, as they have been out for an extended amount of time.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, Alaska Public Media.
Yeah, this is Lex with Public Media again. Yeah, I was just wondering, you said that there was no significant injuries at the time. I was just kind of wondering if you could elaborate on, whether you've heard of minor injuries, things like that related to this. And then one other quick question just about traveling up there. And at this point, do you recommend, if there's folks or makers that want to get to that place for one reason or another, or you still recommend first travel up there?
I caught the first part of your question. Yeah, we have seen minor injuries reported. I mean, there have been a number of things from, I think we heard of one restaurant where some glass shattered and there was a minor injury to an individual. So we have seen spot reports, but we've been very fortunate not to have any significant injuries and or loss of life at this point. So very grateful for that. And I didn't catch the second part of your question. You came in a little bit garbled here in the chambers.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just wondering if you're still advising against travel from Peter's or from elsewhere into the valley. Is it safe to drive on the highway?
Yeah, so we haven't heard of any additional whiteout conditions that we were experiencing across the hay flats that I think were occurring, was it Saturday or Sunday? So I think it's safer to travel, but obviously with all the power outages coming and going, and I think Jennifer spoke to it a little bit, where they'll bring a residence back into service, but then another outage will occur. So I think at this point, we certainly wouldn't look for more folks to come out in the next couple of days as we continue to work our way out of this and recover. And I'm sure too, we're going to be seeing a lot of businesses, a lot of citizens running around working to do assessments on damages that need to be repaired as a product of the windstorm. So we're aware of a lot of those things. So at this point, obviously we've advised Matsu Borough residents to shelter in place until the winds diminish. So I don't think we would be encouraging folks from Anchorage to be coming out to recreate or whatnot at this point over the next couple of days.
Is there anything that folks can do to help out the situation in terms of donations or anything?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of at this time. I'm sure that as this occurs and we're getting this week started, you'll see things that'll come up in social media where folks will have an opportunity to make donations and whatnot over the next couple of days.
Hi, this is Tess Williams with Outages Daily News.
Hi, go ahead. We can hear you.
Thank you. I'm wondering if the borough will be seeking assistance from the state in the form of like a disaster declaration or assistance from the National Guard in response to these storms.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we did make a disaster declaration earlier this morning, and that's been shared with the state of Alaska. So we're hoping the governor will follow suit and declare the same. But at this point, there's no immediate health or safety issues where we're needing additional resources from outside the borough. Obviously, you heard MEA speak to additional crews that are needed to make repairs. I think I'm really glad to hear that a couple of the utility companies are coming in to provide support. So I think at this point, that's probably the best thing that we can see, but we don't have any immediate health and safety needs as far as resources from the state or other municipalities that are needed in here at this time.
Will there be a need for overnight shelters, or will the shelters open up, the warming shelters that are open up longer nights?
Yeah, so the shelters that are open 24/7 currently, and that will continue to be the case, I would imagine, over the next few days. We really coordinate pretty closely with the American Red Cross to determine what the sheltering needs are. And you heard an earlier question about potentially, looking at shelters that may be needed in the more remote rural regions of the borough. Are there any other questions from folks online?
Good afternoon, Ken Barkley, Director of Emergency Services. So at the shelters, Red Cross does have food available there and sleeping facilities, cots. So if you do need to go to the shelter, they will help provide you with those things. And also we will be updating the shelters with updates on what's going on, what power is restored, and what other areas, roads are open or closed. So you'll be getting those updates inside the shelter. But they will have food, hot beverages as well, and cots for spending the evening if that's the case.
Any other questions online before I turn it over to Mayor DeVries? Yeah, if there are any other questions, one last reminder, you may need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. So I'll pause for a moment for that to happen. We have another question from Lauren here in the room. So Stefan's going to bring you a microphone. We haven't actually put the summary of that together yet. We are receiving reports, and with the disaster declaration, obviously we'll be codifying the different commercial and residential reports that we get in terms of damage. And obviously, if the state follows suit and there is public assistance that becomes available, it really kind of speaks more to the recovery phase. Right now, we're really focused on the response phase and getting folks through this, so we don't suffer anything unnecessarily as a product of the winds and or power losses, especially with the temperature change that's kind of come over the last day or so. Any other questions online before I turn it over to Mayor DeVries? Last call. Okay, very good.
Good morning. So that you know, the borough is trying to do absolutely everything to keep you informed on what's going on. So we will be posting updates on social media, and we have set up a call center at the borough, and that number, and this will be posted on our social media also. So if you aren't able to quickly write it down, of course, 907-861-7900 if you have specific questions. And for MEA, the number I have is 746-7697. Is that a good number? Okay. So anyway, that's a good number for MEA. I, for myself too, have at our home have been out without electricity for over 14 hours, and so we are in our personal life trying to shelter in place. But I don't know, the Matsu Senior Citizen Center is looking pretty nice and warm and cozy right now for me, and for those in the Wasilla area, of course, for the Menard Center. We especially want to extend our thanks to MEA, because we know that they are working, and this is their community. They love our community as much as we all do, and we know that they're doing absolutely everything possible. I think it's easy to be the armchair quarterback when we don't really understand all of the things that go into restoring our electricity. So, and I especially want to thank Ken for all the first responders and Mike for putting together the emergency declaration. And I am pretty sure that the governor, if he hasn't already signed it, he will be signing that. And thank you again. So please watch our Facebook page as well as other social media. Is our website up now? Okay, so our website the Borough website is up now. It was out for, I think probably, 24? Yeah, yesterday. So we thank you very much for being wise in making your decisions about whether you should shelter in place or whether you should go someplace else or find some family and friends. You know, you may be able to find a family or a friend that you've forgotten about, but they got electricity, so they might become your best buddy here. So anyway, thank you very much and Happy New Year.
All right, thank you all Alaskans for tuning in here today. Hi everybody, I'm sorry about that. I've been sitting here talking to myself. Way too many microphones. I clicked something and everything that I was trying to get to work earlier just all of a sudden came up and active. I do apologize for the sound problems from earlier. That was a voice modulator program and it had taken effect when I turned on the computer. It was something I was playing with last night for changing voices and adding in different sound effects and stuff like that to the streams. And it was automatically turns on when the computer reboots up. And I was not aware of that until today and during this live stream, and hopefully the echoing wasn't too bad on your end. It was horrible on mine, and I did get it fixed about midway through. And now I've learned a whole bunch of new things about audio and sound on this computer and the programs that I'm using for broadcasting with that really makes it interesting. Today we got to listen to the Matsu Borough declaring their emergency declaration and the steps that they are taking. There are shelters in place. If you need help, they got the Menard Sports Center is one of the places right now that you can go to, and they have facilities and places there to help get you warm and put you in touch with services to be able to get you the help that you need, or give the Matsu Borough offices directly a phone call, and I'm sure they will immediately put you into the support that you need to be able to move forward. Lots of people's roofs were ripped off last night. I've seen sheds sliding across roadways and vehicles. I posted a video earlier of the cart driving itself, self-service COVID-compliant carts at Walmart. They had a blackout last night. People falling down, being blown over by the wind. That was just captured all there at the Wasilla Walmart in about an hour span, sitting in the parking lot in blizzard-like conditions as the wind was blowing so hard you could literally hear it slapping against the vehicle. And lots of broken windows in the valley. I hear the hotel on the main strip on the top of the hill there in Wasilla, broken windows there. And so be safe out there and make sure to like and share this video. You guys all have yourself a great morning and afternoon, and I will see you a little later on today.